What is going on, everybody? This is Dave and welcome back to a video today on my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be attempting to predict the very unpredictable, the very tough league that is the Championship League table. Obviously there's going to be the games kicking off in a couple of days time, and obviously this is my kind of match season preview of the table and seeing what I think based on current teams. Well, a few disclaimers. I don't want anyone to be upset. I don't want anyone to hold this against me. It's all for a little bit of fun. Just straight off the bat. Two, I don't know every detail about every single team. So if I do make any sort of mistakes, please feel free to correct me without being too harsh. I'm going to try my best on facts that I've seen, transfers and so on. And obviously leave your predictions, your bottom threes, your top sixes, who you think is going to do well really this season. So we're going to kick straight off. We're going to start off with the bottom three. I think the bottom three is going to be Millwall, Bristol City and Burton. As you can see, one of the promoted teams in there, which is Millwall. They've signed quite a number of players this season, but I don't think any that are top Championship or enough quality to keep them up. They've signed two players from the Wolves who I support, Jed Wallace and George Saville. Personally, I don't think they're quite good enough. Jed Wallace, good League One player. I think George Savile's a good League One player. They came up through the playoffs, obviously. There's a couple of players that have come in, but not really spent too much money. And I don't think really they're going to be making the push and going to have enough firepower to keep them up this season. We move on to Bristol City as well. Bristol City obviously had an okay season. They had a very good striker in Tammy Abraham last season. They've spent a little bit of money actually on a striker this year, on I think it's a good amount of money on Famara Diédhiou from Angers. It's quite a bit of money, £5 million, not a cheap amount in the Championship by any means. A big forward, someone I need, but the French League, is he going to come into the Championship at 5 goals? I hope I'm wrong. They've brought in Nathan Baker back from Aston Villa as well, but I think last season was fairly negative for them. They just had enough firepower to keep them up. I think Lee Johnson may not last the season, and Bristol City may be one of the teams to go down. As you can see as well, 22nd I've got down as Burton Albion. Burton did enough to stay up last season, but again, I don't think they've got the firepower to keep them up this season. Good manager in Nigel Clough, and I think, you know, he's solid. He'd probably try and push and get another Championship job. I think he's definitely got the calibre to do so. Obviously, he's done fairly well with a couple of other Championship teams as well. But Burton Albion this season, I think, definitely are going to be one of the teams to really struggle. Signing-wise, they've brought in a couple of players, but again, no one of real Championship quality compared to some of the other teams as well. They brought in Stephen Warnock, a little bit of experience there, but other than that, a couple of free transfers again, but no one really to... no real eye-openers there, and I think it's going to be a very difficult season for Burton. We then move on to 21st to 18th. So we've got Bolton, Ipswich, QPR and Preston. So Bolton, again, I think they're going to have enough this season to stay up. They're a really big club, a club that I don't mind at all. Brought in a good amount of players. I mean, Sammy Amiobi on a free is a very good signing, I feel. Will Buckley, I think, is a good signing for them. Brought Adam Lafondre in. Never really hit the ground running, I don't think, for a couple of his last teams. Cardiff, Wolves when he was there on loan. Brought Mark Little in as well. Reece Burke and Adam Armstrong as well. Some great players, hungry players for Bolton. And I think that'll be enough to keep them up. Again, they might do fairly well. I mean, Adam Armstrong, I think, is a fantastic signing for them. He may be one of the top goal scorers this season, but will he be one of the top goal scorers in one of these kind of smaller teams? Who knows? We'll move on to Ipswich in 20th. I think Big Mick, is his time going to be up this season? It may well be. The fans running out of patience with him, but I think he's done a stellar job with the amount of money and the finances that he's got at the club. But I think they'll do enough this season to stay up, but I'm not sure if he'll last the year, if I'm honest. It might be a struggle for Ipswich. Could go either way. I know a few people have predicted them to get relegated this season, but I think they will have enough. 19th, I've got QPR as well. Holloway, I've never been too convinced with him as a manager. I don't think he'll have enough firepower this season to keep QPR into a top sort of half finish. I think they will struggle for the majority of the year. They weren't brilliant last year whenever I watched them, to be honest. But feel free to disagree with me. But I think QPR are going to be down there. Next one is Preston North End. Obviously, with Grayson leaving, it's going to, well, it may well be a bit of a culture shock for them. Brought in a couple of players, but no one, again, really of too much note, if I'm honest. And I think Preston, they're not going to set the league alight this season. I think they'll do enough to stay up again. Probably a lower mid-table sort of finish for them this year. We then move on to 17th to 14th, where we've got Barnsley, Nottingham Forest, Sheffield United, Sheffield United, Nottingham Forest, and then Sunderland. So, obviously, Barnsley again, decent season last year. I think they got some great wins, even at a playoff push at one point as well. But Barnsley, this season, brought in a few players again, looking at it. Ike Ugbo could be one of those Tammy Abraham sort of players this year. I know he's fairly highly rated by Chelsea, so he could be getting the goals for them. But other than that, I don't think Barnsley will have too much quality this year. I think they overachieved quite a bit last year. Sheffield United, I think they'll have enough momentum this year. They brought in some good quality Championship experienced players. I mean, if we have a quick look at their transfers here, they brought in Richard Stearman on a permanent deal from Fulham. Obviously, had so many years with Fulham and Wolves as well. They brought in John Lundstram, who's been, quite a highly rated player in the lower leagues of the Football League. I think they'll have enough. Ched Evans obviously has come in. That'll be an interesting one to see if he can hit the ground running as well. Jamal Blackman, the goalkeeper too, from Chelsea. So it'll be interesting to see how they go, but I think they will have enough firepower this season. Next one, we move on to Nottingham Forest. They've signed some good players. Daryl Murphy came in, obviously, with the sale of Britt Sommerlonger. It's going to be very difficult to see if they're going to be reinvesting that money. They brought in Jason Cummings as well, who's done the business in Scotland for a couple of years, but will he bring that form over to England? We're not too sure. It is a bit of a question mark over that one. I think they'll finish in 16th. Again, probably one of those teams, mid-table, lower mid-table for Forest this year. Next, obviously, we move on to one of the ones I think a lot of people are agreeing with, Sunderland down in 14th. One of the relegated Premier League sides. It's not rare now to see one of the struggling Premier League sides that come down not do too well the year after. Obviously, we've seen it with quite a few teams, including Villa, Norwich as well last year. But Sunderland, 14th place, I think a big overhaul there. I'm not 100% sure with some of the players they've brought in, if I'm honest. I mean, if we have a quick look again at their transfers, Sunderland, players coming in with some Championship experience. I think Aidan McGeady is a good signing for them, but other than that, a couple of decent loans in, but I don't think that is going to be enough for them. Losing Pickford, losing Defoe as well, losing Anichebe as well, Barini's gone. I know these players, some of them may not be big to Sunderland, but they're definitely Championship quality, so they could have done a job for them, but they've lost some big players there. Moving to 13th to 11th, we're going to be having Birmingham, Reading and Brentford. I think Birmingham is going to be an interesting season for them. I thought, a few weeks ago they may well be pushing towards those sort of Championship places, but they've not really invested how they probably would have wanted to do. Birmingham, obviously under Harry Redknapp, they stayed up just about last year, but missing out on a couple of big players. Are they going to have the quality this season to compete? They brought in, Stockdale on a free from Brighton. On his day, he's an okay keeper, but makes a lot of mistakes. Other than that, I'm having a look at some of their signings. None again are screaming out as a great player for me. Birmingham to finish mid-table, along with Reading, who had a good year last year, but I think at times, if I'm honest, a lot of people had told me, and what I'd seen, they weren't the best footballing side. I mean, at the start of the season at Molineux, Wolves really, really did well against them and showed them up, but they had a lot of good luck last season, Reading, and maybe that luck will run out. And Brentford as well, a good team that have progressed a lot in the last few years. I mean, they came up with Wolves when we were in League One, and we've been at a similar sort of pace to them. Obviously not investing massively like the Wolves, but got Dean Smith, who's a great manager. So good players in there. Again, they could be an outsider for the playoffs, but I've got them down as 11th place. We're going to have Cardiff, Leeds, Derby and Fulham. So Cardiff, under Neil Warnock, had one of the best forms since he joined the club last year. Joined part of the way through the season and he was brilliant. he's such a great manager, such a good championship quality manager, and I think that with Zahore up front, they could do real business this season. They could shock a few people, but Cardiff have always been a team top sort of half of the championship. Will this year be their year? I don't think so. I think they will have a solid season under Warnock, but not quite have enough to break it to the playoffs. We've got Leeds United as well in ninth. Again, this one could go either way. Leeds, new manager, unproven, albeit, but some good players. Had a strong season last year, but I don't think Chris Wood's going to be as prolific as he was last term. We move on to Derby in 8th. Again, one of the teams. It's so hard to predict this league, but Derby have brought in some good players, but also lost a couple of good players. Will Hughes obviously gone, along with others, Tom Ince as well. But they brought in some good quality, Huddleston and so on as well. Could be an interesting year for Derby. And then Fulham just missing out on its 7th place. Fulham, being honest, were one of the best footballing sides I saw when we played Fulham last year. Some of the football they played was brilliant, and that's why I really wanted them to possibly go to the Premier League, but I do have them just to miss out on the playoffs. So now we're going to do the playoff spots of 6th till 3rd. We're going to have Aston Villa, Hull City, Norwich and Sheffield Wednesday making it the playoffs, and if you were clever enough, you probably would have worked out the top 2. But Villa, again, one of the stronger teams. A lot of people hoping they will hit the promotion spots this year. I think they'll have enough for the playoffs. Not a great season for Villa last year, not as well as a lot of people predicted. Signed some players in, a lot of experience though. Is it going to be enough? I think there's a lot of, obviously John Terry is an absolutely huge signing, but Chris Samba next to him, a couple of question marks. Glenn Whelan as well, a few question marks over him, but I think Villa will do enough to hit the playoffs this season, but again, they could easily push towards the top 2. The rest of the playoffs as well, Hull, Norwich and Sheffield Wednesday speak for themselves really. Sheffield Wednesday have done so well over the last few years and been a whisker away from promotion. They may well do it this season. I think I was going to put them 2nd, but I just wasn't sure if they had that firepower. Norwich and Hull have come down, kept a couple of good players, but sold a massive amount of their squad. If they've reinvested it right, I do think Slutsky, their manager, is very good. If they've invested it right, it could be a good year for them. And Norwich as well, bringing in that German influence, similar to how Huddersfield did it. It may take them a year to adjust, but whether it be this year or next year, I think they're going to be one of the front runners for promotion. And now you look at the top 2, Wolves and Middlesbrough. Borough, I think it speaks for themselves. Defensively, they were okay in the Premier League. Firepower is what they lacked a lot of last year, and they've invested in that. Massive amounts of money on Assombalonga. Braithwaite as well. I think that's going to be enough for them to win the league. And it was a biased one, but it was hard because it was so hard to predict the top 6, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to be biased for a change. I'm not normally positive about Wolves, but I'm going to put them in 2nd place. We spent a massive amount of money. Ruben Neves, Diogo Jota, some big players coming in. Neves, one of the most outstanding transfers the league has ever seen. But I think we might just have enough to sneak into the playoffs or the automatic promotion places. Hopefully I wasn't too biased or things you didn't agree with. But if you did, if you think I got your team totally wrong, if you think you're going to do better, do let me know in the comment section down below. Make sure you like the video as well, and if you dislike it, do let me know why. You know, we're not here. This is opinions. We're not here to disagree with each other anyway. But let me know where your team's going to finish and what predictions you think I got horribly wrong, and if you think I got the table sort of right, do let me know. But until next time, guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you all very soon.